Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to Bonnet Babble.
Yes.
Welcome to today's rants. And I'm Katie.
And I'm Evie.
And let's get on with it. Hello.
Hi.
Right. We've had a bit of a kerfuffle this morning, haven't we? So we've changed our setup. Evie has her own camera now, so all the face tracking is working much better, although my eyes seem to be very strange. And I discovered when I was playing around with it that we both had a frozen left eyebrow because there were no settings for our characters for the left.
Your eyebrows now just go nuts.
So yeah, now my eyebrows are like, ooh, they're going everywhere. So
I wonder if I could actually lift one above the other.
Oh, I can, yeah.
Because I can't do it in real life.
I can. Look.
I don't think I can. No, I still can't do it.
Oh dear me. So we've decided that we're going to go through each post on the blog. I won't read it.
The beginning.
Yeah, I won't read it verbatim. I'll just that background seems to be glitching. Hang on, give it a minute.
It's not glitching.
Give it a minute. I keep seeing it do weird things.
Maybe just your eyes.
Give it a minute.
It seems to be moving.
It's supposed to be, but then in a minute it's done it a couple of times where it just goes. See, we're getting distracted already. We've not even bloody started.
I'm just watching.
See, there.
That's just the end of the loop.
But it should be smoother than that. I'm not happy with that background. I'm gonna have to change it now.
Oh, no.
Not right now.
Not
right now. But we'll need to address that at some point. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to go through in order of the posts that I've written. I'm not going to read it verbatim because that'll be really bloody boring.
I don't know. You do read it. It's entertaining.
But what I'll try and do is I'll use it for a prompt, so I can free talk, freestyle around.
This could be dangerous.
I know.
And long.
It's going to be a terrible idea.
Bear with.
Well, that's why I said we should just do the little intro hi and welcome and a little bye, and then we can just waffle on for as long as we want. And there's no problem. Then I just mash it all together whenever.
For as long as we want, or as long as I've got?
Well, yeah, I know you're on a time scale, aren't you?
Yeah.
Boo, hiss, boo.
I know.
Right, anyway, we're 2 minutes in already. We've not even actually talked about anything. So, part 1 is the early years of my saga. So we're into the saga series at the minute. This is the very first episode.
Just to point out, this paragraph you really have to read out.
I have to read that one verbatim, do I? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you've been on the blog, which is now redesigned and really, really pretty.
Very pretty. So beautiful.
You have to do it on a big screen, not the mobile version. You have to look at it on a big screen because the mobile version doesn't load all the additional prettiness.
Although, just as a warning, if you do suffer with migraines and are sensitive to brightness,
yeah, it's very white,
like I am, then just be warned.
Mm.
It's bright.
So yeah, on the about page on the website, there's a little bit of babble about me. So this post is all about. I go into it a little bit more, and I've said, in fact, since writing this, I've decided to split it into sections because I do tend to go off on tangents. I've actually said that, and we all know that's true. Ever since I was small, I've always been a bit weird, interested in things that my peers weren't. Very chatty, sensitive, bossy, insecure, anxious.
What are you interested in that no one else was?
I was always a bit of a dweeb.
Sure, there's lots of kids like that.
Well, yeah, I think it was the fact that I wasn't the stereotypical girl. I like building things and computers and yeah. Kitty, oh, it's a Felix.
So you weren't the stereotypical girl playing with dolls and Barbies.
I mean, I did have dolls, but I used to cut all their hair off.
I didn't have dogs.
No,
I just didn't like them.
Yeah, so I just felt a bit different, and I think I was a bit like my daughter, where she has her meltdowns over nothing and all that fun stuff. So yeah, sorry, quick coffee sip. We've not even had our first coffee yet since recording because we're on a deadline. So
not that you would know with our
kerfuffle. Yeah, I grew up with a very controlling mother, who, when I reflect on it, and after spending thousands of pennies on therapy, was likely narcissistic, I've looked into, borderline personality disorder for her and bipolar and all that sort of stuff. She was nuts, and not in a good way. We're nuts in a good way.
Thank you for adding that.
Yeah. She was verbally and sometimes physically abusive, and now I've got my own little twiglets. I do question some of the positions that I ended up in as a child, and in particular as a teenager. It was almost as if she allowed these events to happen to create a drama, because that's what she really enjoyed, was to be the centre of attention. So
that's just...
Yeah, the more trouble I was in, the better it was for her, because then she can make a big song and dance about it.
See, I can't even get into understanding somebody like that.
Well, quite like with my kids, it's like, I just be quiet.
That's how...
I don't want any drama, thanks very much. So yeah, I was an only child.
My mum was.
Yeah, I was an only child growing up as well. So I was like the sole focus for all of my mother's shenanigans. And my dad was about when I was young, but he worked away quite a lot. And on the weekends he was usually off at the rugby club, which I went to sometimes. Or he suffered really badly with sleep apnea. Now he's got to wear one of them little mask things. Little work, yeah. Looks like Darth Vader. Yeah. But because he had sleep apnea, he wasn't diagnosed with it back then. So he'd be watching telly, allegedly watching telly, with his eyes closed.
Well, yeah.
And, I'd sneak in, want to put my cartoons on and try and change the channel. And they'd be like, "Oi, bloody watching that." I was like, really? Your eyes were closed?
Like, it's something about dads.
So they've got a sixth sense, haven't they, when
you're
fanning about their programme.
We used to turn a tin upside down or something, because we'd mess with his OCD. But he would be in the living room, cannot see into the kitchen at all.
Yeah.
And he knew. He'd be shouting through to us, telling us to put it back
Get
where
off my tins! So as a young one, I was a prime target for bullies. I had glasses, sticky out ears, buck teeth, and for the icing on the cake, I was, and still am, ginger. So suffice to say, I didn't have an easy time of it at primary school or my early years of secondary school, until I got a bit of a gob on me and started giving them a bit of lip back. And with most bullies, that does the job.
Yeah, but because we was always raised with keep quiet, ignore it, and it will all go away.
Yeah, and the thing is with a lot of bullies, they're just bloody stupid. So the second you get a gob on you and start arguing back with a bit of wit, they get out of their depth quite quick, and they give up and go and pick on easier targets. So yeah, teenage years, I don't really know how I'm still alive with a lot of the crap I got up to be honest. I think you're kind of in the same boat with that, aren't you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. My half-sister died of a drug overdose when I was 11 years old. She was in her 30s, so it was a big age gap. And when that happened, that was kind of the trigger, really, for me starting to go off the rails.
Understandably.
And
it's such a big thing to happen.
And I talk about that in more detail in a further blog post, so I won't dwell on that. Otherwise, we'll just repeat ourselves repeatedly. Yeah.
Do you want to say it once more?
Repeat ourselves repeatedly. Yeah. So, I remember at about 13, after school, there was a lad I quite fancied. He was very pretty. And he, with another lad who I didn't really like so much, but he liked me, we went over to this other lad's house. And he fed me neat vodka and gin.
Ouch.
And I was absolutely off my face.
Wow.
Yeah.
13 years old,
I know.
Used to drinking and having that,
I was hammered. Thankfully, the chap I quite fancied was also quite nice. And he half carried me up the road to my very religious friend's house. They were like a proper born-again Christian family.
Wow. And you turn up smashed.
Yeah. Thankfully, she was the daughter, who I was friends with, absolutely bloody lovely. I still speak to her on occasion now. And bless her, she sort of bundled me into her bed with a bucket and some fluids and called my mum to say, your daughter's a bit broken.
You might need to come and get her.
Yeah, you might need to have a little trip over here. So my mum arrived to pick me up and give me a rollicking right as my friend's parents, her very religious parents, parked up behind my mum's car. And my mum's there going like, oh, hi, how are you? Yes, all's fine, rah, 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 whilst literally shoving me into the bloody car and then under her breath going, get in. She was not happy.
And then the picture in my head when you say that, it's like, the police when they're investing.
It's exactly that.
Just like shoving your head in.
Exactly that, yeah. Another quick coffee sip, sorry. So I was then paraded into the doctor's surgery. And I think my mum had thought that, the doctor would give me a good telling off and a good lecture. But unfortunately for her, the alcohol had really sunk in by that point and I'd gotten very tired. So whilst I was sat next to her in the waiting room, literally my head rocked back, my mouth wide open, and I'm going like this.
In a quiet GP practice.
And my mum went and sat on the other side of the waiting room as if to be, and literally was just sort of sat there, not making eye contact with me at all. Like, I'm not with her. I don't know who she is.
It would have been hilarious if you just lolled your head onto her shoulder.
Started drooling everywhere. I probably did. I don't know. So yeah, the GP. The only bit I remember from his little lecture, the only bit I latched on to because I was like, yes, was him saying, "I suppose it's good to get it out of your system now. I'm sure you won't be repeating this mistake for a long while." And that statement served me quite well when I got home and the proverbial sugar hit the fan with Mother Dearest. I just kept repeating it. I'm like, but the doctor said, that it was a good thing. And you won't have to worry about me for a bit because I'm done.
But was you?
No. Well, no, I kind of. With the drinking, I gave her a few years off.
A few years?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really start drinking again until I was about 15. Yeah. And that's when I started going out clubbing and just being a general nuisance. Staying out till 3 a.m. and other shenanigans. So yeah, this next bit, I gave her a break from the drinking, but I was doing other things instead. So yeah, the rest of my teens, I don't really remember much. They're sort of in that mental closet of shame. And I was thinking about this last night.
Keep it in the box.
Yeah, when I couldn't sleep. Anyway,
yeah.
I was thinking about how do you describe what this mental closet of shame is? And I thought...
Well, it's different for everybody.
Well, the way I want to describe it is, like imagine if you're knitting or you've got some crochet and you've got loads and loads of balls of yarn. Okay? Loads
I'm
of them.
curious as to where you're going with this.
Yeah, and they're in a big box. And then a herd of cats come in and just mess it all up. Yeah? And it's all tangled together. Nothing's in a nice neat ball anymore. And all that sort of stuff. And instead of trying to like take each individual string and then wind it back up into a ball of yarn, you just shove it in a cupboard. Yeah?
Right.
So then when you're in therapy and you try and pull on one string to process a memory, yeah, you get the whole bloody thing falling out into your face. Like a big woolly fucking unicorn. Sorry.
Okay, I understand it now.
You just didn't know where I was going with it then,
no,
did you?
I didn't. I was really confused.
What's happening here? That's what my brain was focusing on at 2:30 this morning instead of sleeping. Anyway, so yeah, mental box of shame. I had many, many inappropriate boyfriends when I was growing up. And the worst, I was 14. He was 18. And I met him online playing Diablo 2. And somehow he ended up living with us. And my mother got him a job where she worked. And it was, yeah, now it... The face track is so much better in it now. But now I look back on it, now I've got my own daughter, I look back on it and think, how did...
No, you mean why?
How and what? But how also? How did she let that happen?
Why?
And that. And why? It's strange. Anyway, so there was a period of self-harming in there somewhere. Started when I was about 13-ish, maybe. Yeah, as you do. And now I'm all stripy like a tiger because it took quite a while to break the habit.
Well, it is a difficult habit to break.
It is. Yeah. But if I could go back and smack myself around the face, I really would, because it doesn't achieve anything. And now I've just got insecurities about my scars, because certain ignorant people will just come up to you and be like, oh, what's that? Like, it's quite obvious what it is. I don't want to talk about it. Go away. Especially when it's at work. You know, the ones on my arms I'm not really insecure about anymore because I have them out all the time. But other people will notice and comment on it. And it's like, oh, I said that a cat attacked me when I was young or something. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, go away.
Well, you did good getting out of that habit.
Yeah, it was tricky. I can't remember what.
A lot of people don't, and they still carry it on through adulthood.
I don't remember what broke the habit in the end, to be honest.
Wasn't it the really deep one?
Oh, it was, yeah. Yeah, so I got a really, really deep one on my arm, and I was a little bit piddled when I did it. And so I used more pressure than I would do usually. And I didn't realise that the inside of your skin looked like raw chicken breast. Yeah, and when I sort of like, I did it and looked
graphic.
No, it is, it's true. I did it and looked at it and went, oh no. And then never did it again. So when my mother inevitably found out about my harming habits, she got very upset because it reflected badly on her, obviously. And she screamed at me and called me a freak.
Wow.
Rather than any empathy at all. I mean, I'm thankful that I'm mental, because at least, you know, when my kids go through these challenges, I can understand it and be empathetic.
I once caught my eldest son trying to drink bleach because he was unhappy. And this is around the same age as what you're talking about.
Oh, bless him.
Early teens. And my immediate response was, if he's not going to talk to me about it, luckily he did.
Yeah.
Because we have a very good relationship like that. But I also sought aid from therapists and things like that, like to get him further help. And
there was none of that.
Understand everything that's going on in his head.
Yeah, there was none of that.
Shockingly, I've been told by a specialist that he's neurodivergent.
Yeah, funny
so
that.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty scary. But my response was go straight to help, not to call him a freak.
No, I never had any
from a mother.
I never had any support from my mother with my mental health difficulties. It was all a very stiff upper lip. She didn't believe in mental health problems. I remember once I was talking with a few friends about, you know, anxiety, and she was like in the general vicinity, and she turned around and she went, oh yeah, I've been anxious once. And I nipped it in the bud.
Oh dear.
I nipped it in the bud, and literally everyone that I was sat around the table with were all looking at each other going, what is she on about?
How do you nip it in the bud? Because I'd love to know.
If there's an off switch, show me where it is.
Please.
So I can turn it off. Yeah, that would be great. Anyway, so yeah, after that I sort of I half scraped decent GCSEs, just about. I mean, I was predicted straight A stars. But there's a whole rigmarole around when I took my GCSEs that's on the Mother Dearest series on the blog, which we'll get to eventually. I did need a private tutor to get through maths, because numbers, I just look at a spreadsheet and my brain goes, nah.
You're not my friend.
No, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know numbers. No.
Yeah,
No.
my brain does the same with numbers.
I can't do it. It's horrible.
Even people talking about numbers, I'm like,
Yeah, like, what?
switch off now.
Yeah. Literally, my brain just goes, no, we can't do it. Oh, yeah. Do you remember that? Sorry. Tangent incoming. Do you remember that job interview I went for that
Yes.
part-time job? So this was literally, it was minimum wage, wasn't it?
Yes.
And it was somehow, it was a 3-step interview for this Bobby Basic job. And, you know, nothing wrong with Bobby Basic. Nothing. That's what I want. I just don't see why it needs to be such a rigorous process for a part-time minimum wage thing. And they wanted me to do this, what was it? An assessment, right? And what they didn't tell me is that it would be timed. And that it involves spreadsheets.
Oh no!
Yeah. Now, it's been about 5 years since I properly messed about with, you know, I can't remember what they're really called, pivot tables and VLOOKUPs and crap.
I haven't even got a clue what they are, so...
It's been a long time. And things have moved on since then. There's probably, more wizardry going on in there these days.
I couldn't even do my son's GCSE math work.
No,
so...
even my eldest son now, he comes home with fractions and I'm like, I can't do. We don't do fractions.
If I'm faced with a spreadsheet, I'm like, oh no. I don't know how you did it.
I can do percentages because I had to do that at work. No. But fractions, no.
Unless it's 10%.
Or 50.
Or 50, yeah. That's even better.
Yeah. So anyway, I started this test thing and I got the anxious sweats. I'm there and I'm like, I had to download this online version of Excel rather than using Google Sheets, which is what I usually use. And they wanted me to, sort some data and say, how many people had this level of VAT versus this level of VAT, or some rubbish like that, import tax or whatever it was. And I only had 5 minutes to do it. And I couldn't reformat. The column for the prices had dollar signs in it.
I can't put an eyebrow above the other.
I know.
Sorry.
This is why it always takes us so long to do anything, because we're just like... Yeah, so I had all the column with the prices in had dollar signs in it. Now, what I would usually do is I'd go in and reformat that column to be like numerical only, and it would get rid of the stupid dollar sign. But it wasn't an option when I right-clicked, so I had a total flap, and then that put me off for the rest of it. I was just like, I don't, what? And yeah. And then I submitted it, and it gave me 0 out of whatever it was for the spreadsheet, even though I tried, because I then tried to do it manually. I got about halfway through before my time expired.
They should give you a mark for trying.
What? Exactly. Yeah. A for effort. Come on. But anyway, and then after that, I didn't score very well, obviously. And then my brain just went, well, I don't want the job anyway then. So I emailed them and I just went, I'm sorry, I've reconsidered my priorities and I'm no longer looking for employment. And I said the other day in that PIP thing, I don't want any hoops. I've had enough hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
Take the hoops away. So anyway, sorry, back on track. I did go to college. I managed to get 1 A level in a year in English literature and language, although they had a 3-hour lecture every Friday afternoon with a man who was just the world's most boring human being. Like he had the most monotone, droning voice when he's talking about normal non-fluency functions, which I do a lot of. When you pause and you go,
I know you do.
That's one of them. That's a non-fluency, whatever it is. See, some of it went in. Evidently, I still remember it. So instead of going to that...
But they do say when you're falling asleep, you're supposed to listen to stuff you want to take in.
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why I've, had a nap in the occasional...
the monotone voice.
That's why I've had the occasional nap at work meetings and stuff as well.
We'll just say it is, yes.
Yeah. So instead of doing that, I went to the pub and did some good old underage drinking instead. And then I also did history and law AS level, which weren't so good because in English, providing you give a rationale for your answer, it's right. Whereas in history and law, you have to know the facts.
Yes.
And I can't remember that crap. So yeah, got to about 17. I got a full-time job. Somehow progressed my career, whilst getting in with all the wrong crowd and having a few encounters with very unavailable men.
Well, you've got to go through all this.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely, I ended up doing so many substances. I don't know how I can still drink it. Oh, I can't, apparently. I don't know how I can still string together a sentence.
Kids don't do drugs, you can't talk.
No. Yeah, you end up a bit balked like me. So that background's doing my head in.
Then, because I went big on the drugs.
Yeah. Seriously, the glitch.
Just ignore it.
I can't. It every however many seconds it is, it just does it in the corner of my eye. I'm like, what was that? It's really distracting. Anyway.
Oh dear.
So I could, at about 18-ish, the substance use had gotten a bit scary. and it had gotten to you're getting on to the harder stuff. And I could see the precipice that had taken my sister. And thankfully some iota of common sense kicked in my brain and went, we're not playing that game. So I had the really good idea to pack in my job and my flat and move back in with my mum.
I'm sorry, but I failed to see how that was
the better choice.
Yeah. The stopping the drugs, yes, but the quitting the job.
Well, I knew I had to remove myself from the situation, otherwise it was just going to...
Yes, but your mum?
I know. Well, I didn't really have any other choices close by. It was, I could have moved in with my dad, but I really didn't like whichever one he was married to at the time. Anyway, and that was just in time for the 2008 financial crash. Yay. So I was at like manager level, and then I went down to administrator. Anyway, we go on to that in the next post. So I should shut up. That's it for part 1 of my personal saga. And we'll go and see what's next on the blog. So that's all for today's rant.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, have a lovely day. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye.